I'm Mary Wallace, the parenting coach. We're here today in the home of Cindy Lou Wakefield, who is a second grade teacher at the elementary school in Southampton. And we're going to be talking about homework. And why is homework such a big issue to focus on? It's because every day children bring home their work and parents wonder, how shall I help? How do I get my child started? Well, today on our show, I'm going to give you some tips on how to do this. Well, I'd like to say hello to you, Cindy,
Yes.
and thank you so much for inviting us to your home.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. This is my passion.
Wonderful. I want to hear all you have to say on the topic. First of all, when you give homework to students, what are you looking for? Why do you give homework?
I specifically look at the content of what I've taught during the day. I look at how the child internalized it, and I think about what it is that they need to have practice and to reinforce the skill. I try to teach it in a way that they're not just bringing home homework, but yet bringing home something to reteach to their parents and have them be refreshed and revitalized. I want to reinforce the specific goals.
So basically, it's a communication between you and the student. You want to know what the student incorporated from your lesson.
Exactly. I look to see very carefully and specifically what they do on homework and what they bring back to me.
Okay, now we know that children will come home and they often want to do something else. They'd rather play. Why is it that it's so hard for children to sit down and do their homework?
Well, at the end of the day, they have been sitting in school, so I think it's important that we give them a little breather. And I also think it's important that they know what a consistent time, place, perhaps different routine that is expected of them, and then they may play for a while and then get right into it.
And so often children will play for a while, but then they know that soon after they're going to be starting their homework.
That's what I suggest.
And this can cut down on some battles because often parents don't know when they should get their child to sit down and do the work.
Exactly.
Or how to get them.
I think it's important for a parent to screen the homework. So I think they need to look at the assignment pad and almost put it in a priority and sort out what they think would be harder for the child and do that first and save what's a little bit easier for the, when the child might be getting a little bit tired.
And when we were talking, you told me that you don't really want the parents to correct the mistakes.
That's right. That's the key, yes.
Because you want to know exactly where the child is at.
Exactly. That's the learning part that's the communication between the child and the teacher.
So rather, what kind of role would you like the parent to take with the work?
What I would suggest, and what I have done with my child, I try to be nearby so that if he has a problem, I'm right there. And one strategy would be if a child perhaps is working on math, the child could be at the table with all their materials, and the parent could be nearby and perhaps doing their checkbook or doing math, real life skills. Or if a child is reading, a parent might be reading a recipe or also reading. So I believe that that's nice.
I think that's an excellent idea, because what tends to happen if you sit next to your child might be fidgeting,
distracted,
and you might get very anxious and nervous. And parents tend to want their child to do the job perfectly.
You're right.
Because the child is an extension of them, and they want their child to do really well and to get everything correct. So if you're sitting next to your child, you might overreact every time the child makes a mistake. So it's better to step back, give a little bit of independence, and then if a child has a question, let them
nearby.
You're nearby to answer it.
You're right.
Okay, so what do you think causes the battles between parents and children about homework?
In my opinion, I find that perhaps the child just isn't clear on the directions and they don't know where to begin and they may be overwhelmed. That's why the strategy of prioritizing, I think, could be helpful. I think they need that consistency and that structure. And I suggest for parents to look at the homework and even go over it, read the directions, maybe even do a problem, do and see if there's some pattern and try to figure out what they're doing. And then, as we talked about, let them step aside and then let that independence foster and, as we said, be nearby.
So if a parent is helping a child and it starts to get tense, for example, the child is getting upset, because children will get upset if they don't understand
We've
the
all seen that.
information. They want so much to get it right for the teacher. So do you suggest taking breaks?
I
What's
do.
your idea about that?
Yes, I think short breaks. I think even looking at it prior, giving a little goal, let's work up to here, and then we'll take a break. And then also I think a very big part of homework is positive reinforcement. And I think for the parent to be positive, and because that feeling is carried over, and the child will pick that up as well.
And sometimes children will get very upset. They'll ask their parent a question, and the parent gives an answer, and before you know it, the parent is saying, yes, but I told you, and they're having this big argument. Why do kids battle the parents on the help that they're getting?
I think they are thinking in their minds the way that it was taught in school. So if it starts out by the child reteaching it, the parent will be able to read that and pick up on the clues and then springboard from that. Because the child also wants to please the parent, the teacher. And
you also told me something very interesting, that if you're in a situation with your child and things are not going really well, maybe it's better to just let it go and write the teacher a note and say, this was really hard for us, and we couldn't get to this. And let the teacher deal with the child.
I really advise
over the
that.
issue.
I do advise that, because myself, my colleagues, we really relish that. I mean, that gives us the clue. And if it's too hard, we as teachers have a wealth of resources. We can, at that point, differentiate the instruction. We can reteach it, and actually we most of the time call the parent back. And so that's the beauty of it. That's what homework is all about, the learning.
And the thing that I've found with parents and working with parents is they get very, very caught up in the child's homework. As I said before, they want it to be perfect. They want the child to do really well. And before you know it, they're getting really worked up. And you said that sometimes at schools, after school, there's a homework program.
Yes.
Could you tell me about that?
Yes, many of the schools do have programs, and it's fabulous. It works very well for a lot of parents that are working, whatnot. Ours in Southampton Elementary is an hour after school. The children go in, and there are teachers that are working there, and they have all the materials, and they sit and they help the children.
And as you said, that sometimes it's easier if another adult is helping your child, because you're not so caught up in it emotionally.
Correct, yes.
Well, this was terrific. You gave me so much great information, and I hope we gave the parents out there tremendous information.
Oh, there's so many strategies, and it is fun, and it's very important. We want to teach these lifelong learning skills and study skills.
And we want our children to be able to do their homework in a very successful way. So thank you so much for helping me today.
Thank you so much.
As you can see, there are so many ways that you can be a great support to your child in the homework. If you set up a consistent time for your child, a consistent place, if you're supportive, and you don't expect perfection. I'm Mary Wallace, Plum TV.